Test 1, captions 1.
Welcome to the April 21st, 2025 Arts Commission regular meeting. Effective October 17th, 2023, public comments may be made in person or in writing. If you'd like to view the meeting remotely, you may do so in one of the following ways: YouTube Live, Comcast Cable 28, Rossmore Channel 26, Astound Channel 31, and AT&T Uverse Channel 99, or live stream online at the city's website. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
And bear with me as I get used to running down this. Commissioner Perelman.
Here.
Commissioner Klauber.
Here.
Commissioner Magnani.
Here.
Commissioner Tesfaye.
Here.
Vice Chair Baltazar is running late, and Chair Dresser.
Here. Public communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the Commission cannot act on items raised during public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar. Does any commissioner have questions on any item on the consent calendar?
No questions.
If there are no commissioner questions, do we have any public comment on the consent calendar? We have no public comment. Would you please call, I'm going to call for a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar.
Motion to approve the items on the consent calendar.
Second.
Great, thank you. Would the secretary please call for a vote?
First, Commissioner Perelman with your preferential vote.
Aye.
And Commissioner Klauber.
Aye.
Commissioner Magnani.
Aye.
Commissioner Tesfaye.
Aye.
And Chair Dresser.
Aye. Next on the agenda is an item for commission consideration. Item 4A, election of chair and vice chair. At this time, I invite any public comment. Have any public comment? No comment. An eligible voting commissioner will make a motion for chair. I'd like to motion to nominate Sarah Baltazar as chair of the Arts Commission.
I second that motion.
Would the secretary please take a vote?
Commissioner Perelman.
Aye.
Commissioner Klauber.
Aye.
Commissioner Magnani.
Aye.
Commissioner Tesfaye.
Aye.
And Chair Dresser.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now it's time to make a motion for vice chair. I move that Peter Bagnani be the vice chair. May I have a second?
I second.
Secretary, please call for the vote.
Commissioner Perelman.
Aye.
Commissioner Klauber.
Aye.
Commissioner Tesfaye.
Aye.
Commissioner Dresser.
Aye.
I think you're still Commissioner Magnani.
Huh? You didn't call my name.
Yes, I was trying to get my order right, but I'm Commissioner Magnani.
Aye.
I'm going to
Motion
turn
carries.
Oh, great. Congratulations, Chair
Congrats.
Baltazar and Vice Chair Magnani. I'm going to turn the meeting over now to Vice Chair Magnani as we are waiting for Chair Baltazar.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is an item for commission consideration of proposed changes to fiscal year 26-27 fees and charges for arts-related programs. And at this time, I'd invite staff to provide the presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Gordon. I'm the Business Manager for the Arts and Recreation Department, and I'm here tonight to present the proposed fees and charges changes to the master fee schedule for fiscal years 26 and 27. This will include classes, workshops, and studio rentals at the Center for Community Arts, admissions, rentals, and tours at the Bedford Gallery, as well as ticket and rental fees at the Lesher Center and Center Rep. So every 2 years, as part of the budget development process, Arts and Recreation staff review the existing fees and charges and recommends changes to the fee ranges. The way these ranges work in Walnut Creek is that instead of setting specific fees for each class or program, we set fee ranges, and then staff set the specific fees within those ranges. This gives the department some flexibility within those ranges that we can change the fees based on demand or changes in programming. So tonight we're here to consider some changes that staff are recommending to the master fee schedule, which include eliminating or changing certain fee categories, increasing the ranges for certain fees, and modifying some of the rental hour requirements. So to determine these fees, the Arts and Recreation Department staff do fee surveys of similar municipalities. They take into account the cost of programming and adjust for trends in the market. As costs to provide programming increase, we need to increase the associated fees in order to maintain our department's cost recovery goals. Most of the cost increases we've been experiencing are driven by rising personnel costs. For instance, the mandated minimum wage increase from $16 an hour to $16.50 an hour that took effect this past January. In many of the fee categories, we're nearing the top of the ranges, of the approved ranges, and so staff are recommending expanding these ranges to accommodate for potential future fee increases. I will mention that increasing the ranges doesn't always mean an immediate increase in the fee. It can mean that we're adding new programming that falls outside the current range, or we're offering a different way to pay for programming, like with subscription or ticket bundles. So I'm not going to go into detail on every change. You'll notice that there's quite a few changes in the proposal that we sent, but I will point out some of the more significant ones. To start at the Bedford Gallery, based on the success of the pay what you can model for admissions, staff are proposing to also eliminate set fees for the public art walking tours and move to a pay what you can model there as well. This, similar to admissions, will provide a more inclusive program, and it also has a small potential to increase revenue, as we've seen with the admissions at the Bedford Gallery. Also at the Bedford, the ranges for equipment rentals are being expanded to allow for more flexibility and a greater variety of rental uses. At the Leisure Center, staff are recommending expanding the fee range for season subscriptions so that a wider variety of subscription packages can be offered. The minimum rental hour requirements for the Vukasin Theater are being increased to better align with standard event rental periods at similar spaces. We are proposing to eliminate the telephone order and online order fees to comply with SB 478, the honest pricing law, and so those fees will be included in the advertised ticket price. And finally, we're proposing changes to the definitions and ranges for advertising packages with the Leisure Center so they can include both print and electronic media and allow for more flexible advertising options. So those are some of the top line changes. I'm happy to take any questions you have on those or any of the other proposed fee changes.
Any commissioners have questions? Jill, Commissioner Dresser.
Thank you. What is the hit to revenue by eliminating the online and telephone fees? It sounds like you're going to roll it into ticket prices, but will there be any hit to revenue?
Great question. So we already had to implement this because the state law came into effect in July of last year. And what we did was we analyzed all of our fees over the course of the prior year because they were variable depending on how you purchased, online, in person, by phone, and came up with a new fee structure that we felt would maintain the overall revenue to the Leisure Center and be viewed as more of a it's applied to every single ticket, so it doesn't matter how you buy the ticket. That's then applied flat. So we're in the first year of seeing whether our calculations were correct. And so we'll know as we get into especially season renewal time where we have a really big influx of ticket sales, we'll start to see if we arrived at the right balance. But before it was kind of a two-part fee situation, and now we've streamlined to comply with the law.
And as each year goes by and more people do everything online, are you seeing that you need less physical staff in the ticket office because people are buying their tickets or subscriptions online?
So we are not seeing a reduction in the need for ticket agents given the number of folks who still call us with questions. Not as many people walk in as maybe would have, historically, but we have a very, very busy phone line. And so we maintain our staffing to be able to ensure we don't have folks on hold for too long. But that is something we would continue to look at if we find that, things are really slowing on the phones, we would make adjustments.
Thank you. My other question is for the Bedford Gallery walking tour, since I am a docent for the public art walking tours. It is easy to collect $5 from every participant. And I'm basically gathering lots of people together and saying, I need your $5, or do I have your $5, blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering how I, as the docent for that, is gonna say, pay what you can, and someone hands me a 20, and I'm saying, do you want change back from that? Like, just kind of that odd, uncomfortable, awkward place that's gonna put the walking tour docent in.
Sure.
Good evening, Commissioners. Emily Anders, Bedford Gallery Curator. So what we do at the ticket office, and I think we'll want to implement this with our public art walking tour docents as well, is we have like a little pitch. And so we say it's a suggested donation of $10. You can, but it's up to you what you feel comfortable giving. If you'd prefer to come for free, we're happy to accommodate that. If you have $5, $15, $25, 100, 100,000, we'll take all of that. And so we'll give you a little script to go off of. And then I think we'll just need to coordinate better about having change on hand for public art walking tour docents and kind of that handoff and how that would look.
So that what that does, it just changes the beginning of the tour where people are walking up and as soon as they get there, they want to pay the docent.
Sure.
So you're not having to collect from 20-plus people as soon as you give this spiel. I know I've been on several city guides tours in San Francisco, and they ask people to make their donation online when they sign up for the tour. And then they do the spiel afterwards, and they pass an envelope around. So people have actually had the tour experience and can decide how much they think it's worth. And it's a little bit more anonymous. So just food for thought as we move into a new way of doing things.
Sure, absolutely. And I think we'll be also looking to our public art walking tour docents for feedback on how that's working and language to use. And, maybe we actually have some sort of printed document that people can look at as they're standing and waiting to start the tour.
And any chance from this we can go to people being able to pay for their tour without handing over cash, that there can be, especially with the ticket office not open when we start the tours at 10 o'clock?
You mean like getting some sort of like a square or
square
something
code,
like
right.
that? We will have to look into that. I think that really depends on how our ticketing system works and if that those mechanisms are available for carrying around and all of that kind of detailed
I'd love you to
information.
consider that. Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners?
I have a question which might overlap with someone else's, but I'm just wondering about these ranges. How do we know what we're charging for this? Because there's only a range stated here. For example, resale merchandise goes from 50 cents to 1,027, and like at the end there is another example, like we charge for in-house equipment, for visual technical equipment, between $1 and $3,000. So how do we know?
Yeah, so the ranges for that are specifically to give us the flexibility because a lot of those it's not going to be apples to apples. For instance, with the arts resale and having a range of $1,000 to $3,000 is because of the wide variety of things that might be sold. So it just accounts for a lot of that diversity that we'd see there. For the rental equipment, that's going to be based on equipment that clients are going to be renting and then reimbursing the city for that equipment. So it's kind of a pass-through anyway. So that would just account for the wide variety of equipment that might be needed.
And staff maintain a separate list of internal charges. And the reason it's so wide is especially for the theater, we have everything from you're using a microphone, and that's an $85 charge, to you're using a very expensive high-end projector, and that could be a $2,000 charge. And again, it depends on the client interest and demand. So they review what the pricing would be and decide if they want to move forward with that added expense.
And my other question is related to, I think it's the Hoffman Theater seating. And it's from 100 to, it goes from 100 to 450, I think, season's tickets. I'm on page one. The second
Okay,
stat one.
yes, Center Rep The subscription ticket package,
Yeah.
right? So that will depend on how many shows are in the package. So this past season, we had a 5-show package, and each show was $49 per show. In the future, we're looking at options where, midway through the year, right, you might have a smaller package, or we might have some combination of add-ons and different things. So it really will depend on how many items are in the package, but we feel like that range is enough to accommodate if we put every single Center Rep thing under the sun into a package, that it wouldn't exceed that range.
So it's actually being lowered.
It's giving us the flexibility of not having only a 5-show or 4-show package, right? That we could
Okay.
do something that's more reduced and still call it a subscription.
Gotcha. And there's one other. That's it for me, thank you.
I think I want to ask a question in regards to the Bedford Gallery pay what you can method. Just out of curiosity, when we had the set amount for fees compared to pay what you can, since we're going for the public art with similar model, obviously because it worked out for the Bedford Gallery, are we able to sort of know by percentage-wise, like how much significant, like what the numbers are? Because if we had a set amount, let's say $5, pay what you can, there's also a chance where people could pay $1 and it could go less. So like, how do we maintain sort of something similar to so that we can keep consistent to what we've had in the past? But I'm just actually curious to know what was the significant difference so that as we move to this new model.
Yeah, I'm sure Emily can address that. I know based just on the budget level, it's seen about a 50% increase. 50% in admissions increase over the previous way of collecting admission. So if you had anything to add, or yeah, okay. So yeah, fairly significant. So
That is significant. Thank you.
yeah.
I have a couple of questions about the Rudney Plaza. The top of the range is going up from 1,300 to 2,000. Seems logical. But then the bottom of the range is going down significantly from 1,000 to 600, which seems illogical. How does that work?
So what we found in terms of the Rudney Plaza is that the range of activities that are happening there are much broader than we thought. So it was kind of thought that it would be all these larger scale rentals, and that's not the case. We do have folks who want to do something that has much smaller like staff impact and much smaller impact on even use of the facility and custodial. So again, it's just to give us flexibility if somebody wants to do a much smaller scale event, that it wouldn't then be priced out of their ability to do it.
So how many events are you getting at the plaza?
So mostly the folks who have been interested in that have been those who are on the higher end of the price point, because they're really wanting to maximize the use of that space. But we're hoping that by having this expanded range, we'll see more of the folks who are at a less heightened technical expertise, but want to use the space and get more utilization that way.
Thanks. And one other question, this is curiosity, but in the library gallery, there's an item called Gallery Outreach Presentations, where the minimum is increasing from $30 to $200, and the maximum is increasing from $150 to $5,000. So first of all, what are gallery outreach presentations, and why are they suddenly becoming so expensive?
So a lot of our gallery outreach presentations are something where I will go and present. So that $30 range is a little low for me putting together an entire presentation and going and speaking about the Bedford's exhibitions and programs. So that's more so what that is for staff to develop and then go out into the public, wherever that might be, and execute those programs.
Excuse me, but did you say library? It's under the library gallery?
The library gallery.
So does it have anything to do with the library gallery where we have the art every 2 months? Do we charge for that?
Can you tell me what page you're looking at?
I have to find it now. I have to find,
Right, I think this is more of just functionally, the fees and charges are not always consistently formatted. Because you see the bolded library community art gallery exhibition application fee, where you see 3 lines or so, individual and artists and groups. And then we get to public art tour, which is not part of the library community art gallery exhibition fee.
so that's, okay, so that's where
So
that belongs.
I think we're probably missing a
it.
subheader or something.
Okay.
Can I ask one follow-up question to your presentations? Is that educational? Are they business development in order to acquire more artists to the gallery?
They are much more educationally based. So we go like to Rossmore, for instance, and teach the people of Rossmore about the Bedford, what we do, all of our programs, our docenting program, all of our volunteer programs. And so it's much more of an educational experience where we share kind of the ins and outs of how we develop exhibitions and programs and how that works within the city of Walnut Creek.
Emily, sorry. About how many requests you have a year for you to go and speak outside the gallery?
Between 5 and 10 requests per year. Doesn't mean that we're able to accommodate every single one of them, but there are a handful.
Thank you, commissioners, for your questions. Are there any public comments at this time?
I have another comment, and it's under Sales Commission, page 1, second page 1. Under Sales Commission resale merchandise. So I don't understand what that means. So it's 50 cents to 1,000. It's not a percentage. So is that, how does that work? Under resale merchandise.
So we have items in our merch case that we purchase and then we resell. So that's what those are for. So it does range. I know that seems like an incredible range, but it really does. It goes from like little pins to T-shirts and prints and things like that.
So it's not on consignment. We actually purchase it and then we resell it.
Right. So we do both in our merch case. We do have consignment items, and so that is under the artist only, those percentages from 30 to 50%. And so if a piece is on consignment, we do offer the artist a commission, but if it's bought and then resold, there's no commission involved.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry, Emily, going back to the artist only. Does that also mean, I'm sorry, like, is that applying to works that are sold through the Bedford Gallery, like the juried exhibitions, for example? If artists sell the work, is that part of, is that what we're talking
Yes.
about? Okay.
So when we have things for sale in the gallery as part of our exhibition, there is a commission split. So that is negotiable between Bedford Gallery and the artist. So the percentage ranges, but when the work sells, a portion of that commission goes to the city, and then a portion of that goes to the artist.
How often are we selling?
Funny you ask. So for our embroidery show, I think we sold nine works, which is really, really exciting for us. But some works, there's for some exhibitions, none of the work is for sale because it's either on loan from a collection or from a private collector. And sometimes everything is for sale. Like our juried shows, a lot of the times I'd say between 80 and 90% of that work is for sale. So it's really dependent on the exhibition and the comfort of the artist with having their work for sale.
I had a question. On the last page for the center rep, it says concessions, and then it's going from 15% to 0. I'm just confused. How does that work?
So in this current year, we, based on feedback from various rental clients who were very challenged by the concession fee on merchandise because it really made it so that the merchandise was not profitable for them at all. We have been piloting with approval from the director to be able to not charge that fee to see if there is any significant impact to the leisure center's overall revenues by not charging. So this update is just to allow for, if we choose to continue that in the next fiscal year, it would already be approved in the fees and charges to be at 0% instead of what we had been charging, which was 15%.
Okay, thank you.
I think I have a question. It looks like it's canceled off, but I'm very curious to know about the photo shoot backdrop situation at the Bedford Gallery. I was like, what is that, and why does it cost $200 at first?
I am happy to get my steps in for the day. So that was kind of a long-standing item that is rare. It's in the 6.5/7 years that I've been here, we've never used it once. And also creates some issues around artist licensing because if a photo shoot is done in the gallery and an artist has not given us permission for their artwork to be used in a photography shoot, that could cause copyright issues for us. And so we just removed the photo shoot option from the gallery. So that it would be for someone like maybe a fashion designer wanted to come in and do a photo shoot in the gallery. So things like that, not for our photographer who comes in and does like our installation photos or our opening reception photos. Those are still very much in our budget as a separate item.
So there is a recommended action in your agenda report, if there's any commissioner that would like to make a motion.
How long did it take for you guys to bring up these new budget lines, like to work on this?
Oh, this particular item? Well, we do it as part of the overall budget development, which is many, many, many hours of staff time. And it really depends on the program if they were making significant changes or not. There were some items where we were really researching best practice versus other items where we knew our costs were going up a small amount and we needed to adjust the range accordingly.
And for some of the theater charges, like seasons tickets, I saw that the Hoffman is going up like $50 only. That's next year, but the next year is another $50. So is that based on like attendance? So, for example, California Symphony tickets will go up $100 by 2027. And was that based on pricing or just on the hit that it has become and it's so popular? And did that come into the equation?
So our fee structure for the theaters for event periods, so that's when there is a performance, is based on a percentage of their gross ticket sales, and it has a minimum and a maximum for each space. So groups like California Symphony are frequently hitting the maximum, and so they're not really paying 23% because their gross earnings are so much higher than the maximum. So when we look at what the minimum and maximum is going to be for a year, we're looking at our rising costs for staff, for materials, for utilities, all of that, and needing to recoup a larger amount in that minimum maximum range, but it's still 23% of gross ticket sales. And so for a producer, it's their determination how they're going to price their tickets, and they would know that the most they would pay for that 6-hour block would be the maximum of the theater rental amount.
Okay, thank you.
You're looking for the motion?
Yes, we are looking for a motion to recommend forwarding these items to the City Council for approval, should there be any commissioner that wants to make that motion.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Perelman,
Aye.
Commissioner Dresser,
Aye.
Commissioner Klauber,
Aye.
Commissioner Tesfaye,
Aye.
Vice Chair Magnani,
Aye.
and Chair Baltazar.
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Great. At this time, I invite staff to provide presentations.
Good. Thank you. Good evening, Arts Commissioners. I'm Mariah, Public Art Manager for the city, and I just have a few updates this evening. First, we just completed, last week, we had the biennial maintenance of Hand of Peace over at Civic Park, which you know is on long-term loan and requires periodic maintenance. So this took place last week over a period of about 3 days and cost just over $15,000, which was approved in the last time it happened, back in 2023. But they did a great job. So obviously, I don't know if you have seen photos. I didn't have time to get them into this presentation, but they bring a lift out. There were 3 members from ARG Conservation that came. They do a full, complete inspection. They're looking for loose tesserae. They're regrouting that. They're fully cleaning it, fully waxing it again to make sure that it can endure outside time for until the next preservation maintenance scheduled. So they did a great job. It looks great, and it was done just in time for our kickoff of the 2025 Public Art Walking Tour season. So this just kicked off this past weekend on Saturday, and we had over 41 people join the Public Art Walking Tour, which is great. I hear that that's a lot more than we normally get, so so it's great. Happy to see it moving in that direction. We do have new marketing that goes along with it. So this is the new card. It went in the mail to certain people, addresses, and then I gave you each a copy of the card. So it lists all of the dates for this season's tours. And since our last meeting in January, the only update I have for you for Heather Farm Park is that we have had meetings with the architects and the artists so that they can all plan, and they are talking about very specific logistical things on how they'll plan to install their work in collaboration with the building of the building. And staff is in contract process right now. So no other update on that. And I don't know if you recall the Big Bellies in downtown, there was a call that was put out. This is really a job that is being headed up by Walnut Creek Downtown Association. And they have selected the artists, and they are, this is a project done in collaboration with Recycle Smart and then the City of Walnut Creek's Clean Water and Maintenance Departments. And they are expecting to see these be rewrapped some point later this spring and summer. So you'll see a little bit of a refresh downtown. And that's it. Any questions about any of these things?
I have a question about the Heather Farm projects, the poppies piece.
Yes.
I was showing that to someone on the Design Review Commission, and they liked it. But they said, well, you know, this has to be permitted. And when they go to permit it, they're going to make them install some kind of arrangement so that they wouldn't crash into each other in the event of an earthquake. Are either of those things true, and is that a problem?
Yes. So
Poppies, the one on the.
here, I'll go
ceiling.
back. So you see it's in the
The one
top
in the upper
right, the
right.
poppies that are hanging. So that is why we've been meeting early with the architects, and they're meeting directly together in these meetings to discuss all of these things. The permitting is gonna, the architect is actually taking care of the permitting for the two pieces that are going in and on the building. The only one that they're not doing the permitting for is the one exterior piece by Alex Proba. That's gonna be a standalone on the lawn. So everything will definitely be OSHA certified, inspected, and all kinds of other architecture stuff that I'm not an expert on. But yes, they will look, they've looked for safety. I know that they've measured to make sure that if there's swinging going on, they're not hitting each other. Yeah.
In our committee meetings too, the architects or the designers talked a lot about all the different kinds of installations. Oh, sorry. We talked about that a lot in our committee meeting and how they regulate for both kind of state and local standards as well as just their experience. And they were talking for a very long time about the roof pitch, so.
Right,
feel like
right. And it should be noted also that the artists that designed this, they are actually architects
Right.
also. So they have lots of experience with this kind of project.
I have questions. Do you have more, Peter?
No.
On the public art walking tour, I just wanted to clarify, because we chatted beforehand, 41 walkers is a lot for the first tour of the season. Typically, April's pretty quiet, and then it ramps up, and then December, you're like, oh my goodness. So that's amazing for April, but I would say in general last year, the numbers on our tours are way, each year they're growing by leaps and bounds. That said, I would like to see us collecting, if people would like to give us, emails or having people jump on right there and be part of our Instagram feed. Like, we should be collecting data while we're doing this as well. So if the two of you would think about how we can be collecting some data from our walkers so we can keep them abreast of what's going on at the Bedford and the Leisure Center, it'd be great, because whoever's at the Leisure Center doing the marketing is doing an amazing job. And I think when people hear about what's going on, they like want to go to things. So let's get some more people even on those lists. My next one is the Big Bellies. Are all the Big Bellies going to be rewrapped, or just some?
They're going to roll it out in phases. It's tied to budget constraints. So I believe they're starting out with 10.
So they'll be rewraps, they won't be new wraps.
They will be rewrapped. So I don't know if you recall, but currently they have these acrylic frames that are screwed into the sides. So those are all going to be removed. The Big Bellies will be cleaned, and those holes where the screws were are going to be plugged, and then they're going to be wrapped with the vinyl wrap.
That's good to know, because we actually do talk about those on the public art walking tour, believe it or not.
Great.
Yeah, so we talk about our artists that have made those. Net, I know you have Big Bellies out there. And for the Hand of Peace, is the 15,000 per biennale pretty standard? Like, we paid that 2 years ago, we'll probably pay it in 2 years.
Correct. So
Did
there
they
was,
find any damage? Was there any damage?
So just a couple of the pieces in the mosaic were loose, so they regrouted those. They rechecked the wire that holds the stained glass pieces together. Those are all great. A couple of them were replaced 2 years ago, but they're all holding up really well. The base did have a little bit of chipping. The base is concrete that's covered in stucco. And so they patched up the stucco and they fully repainted and resealed the base. So where the end of the hand, I guess where the wrist would be, meets the base, there's a sealant that goes all the way around. So that was peeling in some places. So they removed it, applied a fresh sealant, and then after they were done with patching of the stucco, they completely repainted it with a mineral paint. So it looks really fresh and clean.
That's quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
Great. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yeah.
I have a question about the Big Belly projects. In the past, you've commissioned several artists. I've few of my own that was lucky to be included. Does that mean that you only showed one artist? One artist is doing whatever's doing currently the season is allowed, or
No, so for
I thought
this,
the call was out for a lot of.
right. So there was a call that was put out, I believe it was last summer. It was in July, yeah. And so, and then the artist selection committee came together and selected, created a list basically of all of the approved artists. And so I am not sure how, because there were more than 10. So Walnut Creek downtown they're heading up the project. So they're going through the list of pre-approved artists to make their selection. And it will be one artist per receptacle. And the receptacles come in groups of 2. And then we have 2 units that actually come in groups of 3. So it's a compost, recycle, and trash. But it will be one wrap around each. It's considered one unit.
But at the end, as a resident of Walnut Creek, we will see more than one artist's work on these belly.
Yes,
projects, correct?
yes.
Okay, I just wanted.
Yeah.
And am I correct? There was nobody on the Walnut Creek Arts Commission on that artist selection panel, correct? That's all downtown business and
No, from what it was the small projects committee. Right. So at the time it was
small projects committee. Who was on that? Yasmini? No. You should.
Ann Meredith. It was Ann Meredith.
Wow, it must have been more than a year ago because we've had a new arts commissioner since last April.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to look and see. I know it was somebody.
Anybody here?
And I
Anybody
think
here
that
was on
it's
it?
possible also that our student commissioner was on that. I'm pretty sure Sky was on that committee.
Then that had to be this. They had the call for artists had to be before this group of arts commissioners was
No,
here.
I remember when that came out, but it feels like doesn't feel like last summer. It feels like before that.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Okay, I can double check and follow up with an email. Yeah. Any other questions? Nope. All right. Thank you.
So next, Lesher Center Strategic Plan update. Thrilled to say that we've launched our new ticketing software. So if you go online, buy a ticket, you're in the new system. Lots of beneficial things found already, including some significant savings for staff time compared to our old system. As an example, it used to take many weeks to do the season subscription process for center rep to move people from the current season into their seats for the new season. And staff completed that within the setup within 1 day instead of within multiple weeks. So that's just one of many wonderful things we found in the new system. And we're still actively working with Diablo Regional Arts Association on the fundraising piece so that we will have that unified view of patrons and donors to see not only what are they attending, but what are they giving to. We also announced a new partnership with SF Jazz for the Headliners series. So that will be starting with next season, and will include 4 to 5 productions that will be co-presented with SF Jazz. We're really thrilled to be in partnership with them. They are a really world-class organization, and it's an opportunity for us to continue to elevate our presence on a national basis for the work that we're doing. And then on May 20th, We'll be giving a presentation to council with just an overview of the strategic plan, the work that's been done in the last 3 years, and some of what's coming ahead. So I encourage you all to tune in to that one or watch it remotely. It'll be a combination of our staff presenting, as well as Diablo Regional Arts Association and some of our key supporters, so that council gets a full picture of what has been going on. They don't get as many updates as you all get from me every meeting. So we're looking forward to that.
I have a question. Was redoing the ticketing software part of the strategic plan? I can't remember.
It was one of the most urgent priorities, but government procurement processes are a little bit longer than maybe nonprofits are used to. So we finally made it.
Great, congratulations.
I want to preface this by saying that I was a theater critic in the Bay Area during the 1970s and 80s. I've seen a lot of theater. And I just want to say that the Center Rep production of Froggy was the best thing I've seen on the Bay Area stage in a long time. He's really killing it, and they're really killing it. And I think really bringing some really sophisticated theater to Walnut Creek. So very, very happy about that. Enjoyed the other ones too. So if you could just start selling ice cream in the intermission, I'd be perfectly happy.
Not another ice cream request, but your kind words will take precedent over the ice cream comment. I'll be sure to let Matt know about your positive feedback. We really appreciate hearing that.
I just want to say we came with my daughter's school for the Little Bears, the recent theater work that you guys did. Sorry, I don't know the title of it. I was chaperone. But the kids had a really wonderful time, and the level of, I think, just theatrical work was just insane, and it was really wonderful, and everybody had really wonderful things to say.
Thank you. We have a lot of wonderful rental clients that do school offerings in addition to our internal programming, and it's been an offering that's been really successful coming back out of the pandemic and closures. So I'm glad you had a great experience.
Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
If we're ready for staff announcements, I'll key that up too. So next up for Center Rep is Happy Pleasant Valley, a senior sex scandal murder mystery musical. Something you will have never seen before. So this is a world premiere in partnership with TheaterWorks Silicon Valley. So it just closed its run with TheaterWorks, and it comes to us starting performances June 1st. And it's also by a local playwright, so we're excited to be supporting our local community. And it follows an internet influencer and her rebellious grandmother, who is residing in a residential community for seniors. And there's a string of mysterious deaths of her lovers. And the granddaughter is on the hunt to solve the mystery and save her grandmother's life. And it's quite the fun kind of campy romp. So we hope you will come out and check that out. That's the end of our season. And we are preparing for season announcements, which will be mid-May for Center Rep. So be on the lookout for that as we look to the next season. And closing out our headliner series is the return of Fiesta Cultural. We have Mariachi Reina de Los Angeles, who's performing June 13th, and then June 14th, the Saturday, is the free street fair. And we've also partnered with Best of SF Stand-Up Comedy for 2 nights of comedy by Latin Bay Area comics. So it'll be another fun June celebration, and hope to see you all for that as well.
It's me again. So just a couple updates. 2 weekends ago, we opened Limitless, celebrating artists with disabilities. So that is our spring show. There are 65 artists and 177 artworks in that show. So I know that I saw a bunch of you at the opening, and I really appreciate you coming and being supportive in that way. If you haven't had a chance to visit yet, please do. It is very, very joyful, very exuberant, and I think you'll leave just feeling really inspired and just hopeful for everything that we have going on in the gallery. So the show will also travel nationally after it closes at the Bedford in hopes of encouraging other communities around the U.S. to open their own progressive art studios. So all the artists in the show are from either Creativity Explored, Creative Growth, or NIAD, which are the 3 Bay Area progressive art studios. So they help artists with disabilities with their practices and also their career development. So it's a really wonderful program, and the artists are absolutely phenomenal and top-notch. So we have a couple of programs in addition to our exhibition. One is actually this Saturday. It's a lino cut printing workshop with Limitless artist Shayna Harper. So she's a NIAD artist, and she'll be teaching the class how to use lino cuts, and we'll be making lino cut objects on bandanas and tote bags and all sorts of materials. The second one is Saturday, May 17th, and that's a freestyle art workshop with Dina Shapiro, who's another Limitless artist. So you can come and work with Dina and make your own freestyle art. So that should be very exciting. We have a Pride Day coming up on June 7th. We'll have story time in the morning with local artist Cara Navolio, and then we'll have an art project in the art space. We haven't fully figured that out yet, but it will definitely be Pride themed. And then in addition to Fiesta Cultural, we are doing 2 free workshops in the gallery that day. And again, we're still working out those details, but that evening at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., I think 7, we're having a Frida-inspired art journal making workshop as well. So a bunch of events coming up. Any questions?
Will there not be a cocktails and conversation for this show?
Not for the show, no.
Okay. And then are we moving to our openings to be a little later, starting in with the next season?
Sounds like you have some insider info. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so starting this summer, our opening receptions, we'll move them to the evening. So we're going to do a year of evening openings to kind of see how that works out. That's the usual time that art galleries and museums have their openings. But if we see a huge decrease in attendance, then we'll move it back to this mid-morning type.
I just want all the art commissioners to hear that, because it's when you see a time change, you're like, what's going on here? Yeah. I used to go in at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. I just make a comment. I think this show is amazing. I thank you and your staff for being able to choose the art that you have there. And I heard that even choosing it was tricky because you would choose pieces and then they were sold. So you had to go back and choose again. And then more art was probably even sent than you thought. And then you had to figure out where to put all this art, and it's hung beautifully. So kudos to you and your staff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I second that big time. Just, it was unbelievable. I've told everyone about it, as I always do, but this show in particular hits different, I think. So thank you so much for just the amount of work and love. So much love went into it, and it was really wonderful. It's very hard to keep a dry eye.
Thank you.
Great. Any staff announcements? Oh, that was staff announcements. Commissioner announcements and or brief reports on activities?
I've been busy doing cultural things I want to share. Besides Limitless, which is another one of my favorite shows at the Bedford, I only keep the docent notes of the shows that I love so I can refer back to them. And I'm keeping more and more, Emily. You've just done an amazing job curating the shows, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next season. But I'll be sad when this travels. And I'm looking forward to seeing the list of things that are not traveling so I can maybe buy something. So yes, arts commissioners, actually a lot of art in my house is from the Bedford. So I always like to buy, especially ceramics, from the Bedford. I've also been to see the Ruth Ozawa show at MoMA. It is phenomenal. You need to allow several hours to see it. You just don't want to leave that show. And then the Wayne Thiebaud show at the Legion of Honor is another must-see show. I've saw work there I've never seen before. I'm a Thiebaud fan. Make sure that you get a chance to see that. So that's my, oh, and then Berkeley Rep, Here There Are Blueberries. Just took my breath away, is also one of my favorite Berkeley Rep shows I've seen in a long time. It just opened, it's going to be here for another month.
What is it called?
Here There Are Blueberries. It just got reviewed in the Chronicle today.
I've got a few. Just a reminder, on Saturdays, it's great for the family. There in Broadway Plaza from 12 to 1 is a beautiful resistance march that everyone can be a part of. Also this Saturday at the Berkeley Public Library, there's Courage in Chaos, which is an LGBTQIA town hall and discussion with several authors. It's free and open to the public. And then we have coming up May Day, which is May 1st. It's being sponsored this year. Well, there's multiple, but Oakland Sin Fronteras and the Palestinian Youth Movement are a part of it. So if you're looking for ways to resist and be a part of the action, there's lots of things going on here in Walnut Creek and in our local communities. And then I'll be traveling to the Central California Women's Prison with traditionally classically trained artist George Morton, and we're hosting a full day of master traditional arts and oil painting class inside for 150 women later in May. So really excited to be a part of all of those things. That's it. That's a wrap. I get, oh my God. Good night.